in this approach, we're going to show you how to go from a local environment, so using Docker locally, and then after that going to a staging environment where you can do your tests on a live database in the cloud that is not on your local machine. And then after that, we're going to move that to a prod database, and I'm going to show you how to do that from the start, from a schema perspective and migration file perspective. So I'm going to show you how to use the Supabase CLI and how to manage those three environments. So first off, you do need some tools before you start. So first off, projects on the cloud. So you can just do it with the free organization if you have basically just the free tier. And then you're going to need two other tools. So you're going to need Docker Desktop, which is a free tool you can install. Just type Docker Desktop online, and then you're going to need the Supabase CLI. So on Windows, you could use something like Scoop to use it, or simply Node.js, npx Supabase, stuff like that. And once you have it, terminal. So let's just open a new terminal. So this is a brand new project I didn't touch, but if you do Supabase, you'll see you have the command line just there that is ready to use. So that's what we're going to start with to start our project. So first thing you're going to want to do if it's the first time using the CLI is start with a command Supabase login. I'm going to zoom that in for you guys. So Supabase login is just basically going to allow you to log into your Supabase account, give you a code you can enter in your CLI. So let's just take that code. We can enter that code, and then enter. So this basically binds your Supabase account with your local repository, which is what we want. Once this is done, we're going to want to do Supabase init to init our local Supabase project. So pretty simple. You just do Supabase init, and then what it will do is, even if it's not a blank project, so if you want to start a project using the CLI, you could just do Supabase init, and it will create a folder in any project that you have. So in my case, there's nothing else, but you could add a web interface, something like that, without a problem. So if you see here, we have the Supabase folder that was created, and we have the config.toml file that was created. There's a bunch of settings in there that you can change if you want. I suggest for starters not to do anything. So you could see here the major version, which is the Postgres version. And then you have the ports to use and stuff like that, which you could change. But for this specific video, which is more a intermediate kind of video, we're not going to go into each deep dive of each parameter. So after you've done that, you basically want to start your Supabase stack. So in my case, you see I already have it started, but basically what you can do is just remove them one by one if you already have it. And I'm just going to delete them all one by one. You're going to have those images pulled in. So I'm going to show you how you can do this automatically, but if you didn't see, it's basically going to download them from Supabase Docker repository, which is on AWS. Supabase start, and this will basically pull the images if you don't have them locally, and it will start the whole database stack. So we can see here we have the first setup container that is creating, and then it's going to create the other ones. Basically every sub-service that Supabase allows you to use via other service. So while this starts, we're just going to go into our projects. So those two, what I did is I basically created two empty projects. So one staging and one production. So let's open them in two different tabs. So I got my staging right there. And the first thing we're going to want to do is make sure everything is LT, make sure it's spinned up. Nothing is, in error mode. Let's just validate that they're empty. So this one is totally empty. And then this one right here is going to be also pretty much empty. So if that's the case, then you're good to go to the settings, project settings of each, and you're going to want to note down two things, right? So you're going to want to note down basically the project ID, which is the thing that you need, because what we're going to want to do is have a way where you can repeatedly run commands based on which environment we want to talk to. So what I'm going to do for starters is simply going to use a bun init to create a package.json. But first off, I want to show you guys what happens once you started locally your Supabase. So as you can see, all my containers are running. Supabase Studio link, which is right here. You can see I now have my third environment spin up. So local, staging, production. And all those three environments are completely separate. So they all are empty now, as you can see. But I'm going to show you how you can create a migration file and basically upgrade it to your staging, and then after that upgrade it to your production, which is the whole goal of this exercise. So first off, what we're going to want to do is do the commands like I told you to link to the specific project IDs. So what we're going to want to do is go back to our terminal, and then let's just do bun init, because I do want to basically have a blank package.json file. So if we look here, it created a package.json, and in that package.json, we're going to put some scripts in there, some scripts that are going to help us basically link our scripts of Supabase to npx command, which is way easier, or npm. So in that case, we're just going to do scripts like it suggests, and then we're going to put two scripts in there. I did write them on the side just to paste them in there. But for example, we have those two, which are pretty simple, but it's going to be push staging and push projects. So first off, start by linking the project. So the linking is basically telling your local Supabase CLI that, okay, the upstream project we want to work with is that project ID, which this is what we're going to put. So this is where I was talking about that you should have them close. So get your staging project ID near you. Get this one, you paste it in the place of staging, and then you have this other one. We're also going to want to have functions to basically just link them without pushing. So if you do this, and then just let's do link and then staging like this, and again the AI predicted for us, but that's what we want to do. We want to have the ability to link and also the ability to push, which is a combination of that and the Supabase DB push command. So initially what we're going to want to do, we're not going to need that readme stuff like that. We're going to leave it now for there. So what we're going to want to do is start by linking to our remote project. So I'll start by linking to my staging project, because that's where we're going to do some tests. So to do that, what you can do is just come here and say bun run link staging, and what this will do is it will basically link your local Supabase database, and it will allow you to communicate with it. So one thing I want to do now is we're going to want to create a new migration, and I'll show you to do that. All right, so now that we have our project set up and everything ready to go, we're going to start by creating our first migration. So basically, you can think of a migration as a git commit, if you're familiar with Git, or if not, it's basically just the difference you're going to apply to your upstream database or your local database. First thing you're going to want to do, just clear your console, and then what we're going to want to do is just do Supabase migration new, and then we can call it whatever we want, right? So you can do base schema like this. And then what this will do is, as you see, it created a new SQL file. So in there we could put anything we want, and basically it would apply it to the database, right? So just for a start, create a small Postgres table. Just for example, I'm going to ask AI. It's going to be a bit faster. So if we do it like that, we have a table here, and the first migration, what we can do is test it locally first. So if we go back, you can see that right now there's also nothing in the staging, and there's nothing in the prod. So we can apply it locally for starters. So if we do Supabase migration apply, which is not, no, it's Supabase migration up. So what it did is it basically applied the local migration to the local database. So if you go ahead and go back to your local project and you refresh, it basically created the users table, as you can see, and it's basically the created our table. So if we zoom, we have the same commands that was generated. So just right here, we can see we have the same table. So it's exactly the result we wanted. We just wanted to create a test table to start. And again, if we go back to staging, you see there are no tables in here. It's only applied to local stage, right? So the important thing in that is that you can do any tests in here with those tables without impacting any remote environment, right? So you could add, anything else. So let's say for starters, right now there's only 4 columns, but we want to add another column called is true. So we could create a new migration, do Supabase migration new, and then let's call it add new column. And what this will do is it created a new file, and then in that file we could do add a random new column like this, and then this will be a new column. So keep like that, and then we have it right here. So if we do Supabase migration up relation in your table name, the table name doesn't exist obviously, so we got to use users instead. And then let's just keep a new column for now. If we do Supabase migration up and just applied it, as you can see. So if we go back and we look, we refresh, you see the new column just appeared there. It is in the list of columns. And so that's a pretty simple example of how you can use it. The goal is basically to show you how to work with those 3 environments. So another thing I want to show you is after I showed you, so we did bun run and then link, and we did staging just to make sure we're connected to our staging project. One thing what I want to do is basically look at the differences between the upstream table and the local table. So one thing you can do for that is you can do Supabase migration list. And basically what it does is it basically compares your local migration table, which the migration table is a table that keeps records of applied migrations upstream and downstream. Are they applied? Are they reverted? So you can see in that time, it sees that there was 2 migrations that were applied. It logged us the time, but it also tells us that there's no record of it on the remote, which is basically what we want because we want to apply it. So now the goal will be to take those migrations that are local and apply it on a remote, basically on a remote database, right? So what we want to do, you can do Supabase migration up, and then Supabase db push, which will push it to your remote database, right? So in our case, it tells us, do you want to push these migrations to the remote database? We said yes. So we said yes, applying the migration after Supabase db push. So now if I go back, I check the staging, you see the table just appeared with both migrations where we have also the new column migration. And again, there's nothing in production, everything is fine. So we could do changes locally, apply them to staging, test our stuff here, and then migrate to staging after. So I'm going to show you now what would you do if you wanted to go from staging to production, right? So we just push to staging, all our tests are done, the project we're pointing to, right? So what we do is we do link, then we can do prod. So what it will do is it will use the other project ref, which is non-confidential, by the way, and we'll link it to our local Supabase CLI. So then what it does is we are linked to that remote. And just to basically test the little scripts I added in the package.json, I'm going to show you guys an example of the push with prod that I wrote in there. But first off, let's try to see the Supabase migration list. Sorry about that. So let's see the Supabase migration list like we did. So as you can see, it's not remotely there. But if we go back and do bun run link, and then we do staging like that, and then we run Supabase migration list, it's going to be there. So if we do Supabase migration list, you can see it's both in the local and the remote. And that's the time we did it at about 5 minutes ago. So that's exactly what we want, right? So now we're just going to link back to the prod. So now we're linked to prod and Supabase migration list. You can see it's not applied to remote. So what we can do is do Supabase migration db push, and then it's going to apply again the migrations. And if we go back to production, you can see that we have our users table that just appeared there. So basically, this is a pretty quick video on just showing you how you can use the CLI to add 3 different environments. It could be 5, it could be 2, it could be that you only have a dev environment and a prod environment. It could be you have 3 like I showed, 4, 5, 6, whatever you need. And again, if you want to use the safe commands I put there, feel free to use them. So if you do bun run push and then prod, just like this, you'll see what it does is it combines the command we add, right? So it combines the Supabase link command and the Supabase db push, which we just did separately. But again, it says the remote database is up to date, right? So we don't have any specific differences that we need to apply that are not applied on the remote but are applied locally. So that's pretty much how you do it, guys. I really recommend not using the console because migration problems are a pain if you're reaching them. So every time you need to do a change, just do them through the Supabase CLI. Feel free, if you have any questions, just post them in the comment. I'll answer them as quick as I can. I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.